Welcome to CEO Intronet. I'm your host, Patty Owens. Historically, the U.S. has led the way in drug development and drug commercialization. The model for how that all happens is changing as we go forward. Let's hear from our guests, who will give their comments about why partnerships between large companies and small companies are emerging and how it works on a practical level. Let's meet our members.
I'm Tolga Vural, a partner at Decision Strategies International, based in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania.
I'm Maxine Gowan, CEO of Trevena, based in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
I'm Jeff Hatfield, CEO of Vitae Pharmaceuticals in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania.
So this is wonderful to have the three of you together because so much is happening in healthcare right now. Tolga, I want to start with you because you're a strategy consultant working with large companies to really help them take advantage of the changing world we're living in. What's behind this trend toward partnership between large and small companies? Why is it happening?
There is a phenomenal amount of change that's taking place in the industry right now. There's reform happening, regulatory reform taking place. At the same time, technology is kicking in, and there's a lot of digitization of data, lots of sort of changes in terms of the way we may do drug development, the way we may go about marketing it. And new players are coming in with various different specialties, and the pressure to cut down the costs and drive towards innovative drugs is ever more there. And so the need to actually reach out and partner with those entities that have special capabilities, special competencies is increasing. And so that's driving pharma companies to reach out in drug development and clinical development and figuring out even preclinical development, sort of who are the entities who may actually help them with specific capabilities to drive towards more effective drug development process.
Well, historically, great pharmaceutical companies were so large that there was an easy way to become arrogant and assume that they could do everything well. So they really have taken a new approach, and I think it's benefiting companies like yours, Maxine and Jeff, who have been able to focus on adding value in the chain here. So Maxine, where do you think partnerships are working well for you, and what is it that your company, your smaller company, is bringing to the equation?
So I think that large companies are looking for the source of innovation from companies like Trevena and Vitae. We're able to, I think, access new science, move very quickly, we're nimble, we can react rapidly to changing circumstances. And we are also, I think, very capital efficient compared to large companies. And so we're able to drive the innovation, bring forward new medicines to a point where it's very helpful to have a large organization taking on some of the responsibility, bringing in some of the more complex activities around drug production and so forth, marketing expertise. And so I think there's a very nice opportunity for each of these two sides of the partnership to really play to their strengths in that way.
That makes sense. So Jeff, let's bring you into the conversation. What does it mean to be a good partner to someone like a GSK, a Merck, someone with whom you work? How do you practically do that?
Yeah, so it starts with establishing who to partner with right up front. It used to be that biotech companies would default to what's the most lucrative deal, what brings in the most cash. But these partnerships are partnerships that we need to live with. The focus of them is to advance important new therapies, to be able to provide a cure potentially to a devastating disease. So the deal is only a beginning, and it's only a means to go faster and more effectively toward delivering a product to the patient. So beyond cash, it's making sure the companies fit well together, making sure they have the same vision for the product, for discovery, making sure the strategies, the objectives are similar, and even down to culture. How will people work together? How will they manage communications? All those things now, I think, across many of our biotech companies become the dominant factor in thinking about who to partner with. That creates magic. If we can get the culture and the communication right, that's what works best for the discoveries that we work with.
So it's interesting that you bring up culture and communication, because in fact, if you look at companies in various industries and you think about the developmental cycle from being young, nimble, innovative, you know, historically great innovation has come from the margins. It doesn't come from the mainstream.
Right.
Is it possible, Tolga, for companies to avoid this sort of life cycle phase where they start as innovative and young and nimble, and they end up sort of drowning under their own infrastructure, and they have to go back to partner with others for whom they have retained that creativity?
In many ways, actually, it's essential to have that kind of culture in order to create that level of innovation. And in some ways, what I see sometimes our clients do is they create these partnerships, and a lot of effort is spent on creation of the partnership, but not necessarily on the management and cultivation of the partnership. And so one of the things that I would advise companies seeking strategic partnerships is, beyond just the formation of that alliance, think about what resources you're going to commit in order to build and cultivate that partnership, so you actually learn from each other. In some ways, big pharma could learn from smaller companies, the innovative cultures that they have, and the duality of cultures that need to coexist in order for this strategic partnership to work.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that, the duality of cultures. You're coming at this, Maxine and Jeff, from the other angle, right? You want to preserve the goose that's laying the golden egg for you in terms of creativity and innovation. How will you strategically and deliberately build culture going forward, which will integrate some additional structure and infrastructure without crushing what brought you here in the first place?
Mm. Yes, that's a great question, and I think it's one, as you're growing a company, that you have to pay more and more attention to. And it's a huge danger that you lose the essence of what made you successful. Mm-hmm. I think the way I approach it is, my style is to really try to empower the people who work at Trevena, give them real accountability for each one of them having a significant impact, as much impact as any other in the company. We put that into practice in a very simple way by just the physical building that we have. When we built out our facility, we put everybody with a desk in one room. Nobody has an office, nobody has a cubicle. I'm in the same room with the same desk as every other employee, and it's really a clear, we're in this together, everybody is important, everybody has to contribute. And I think that things like that, visible, tangible, cultural references are important as you grow a company.
And you've been very deliberate, Jeff, in building your culture. So what would you add to what Maxine has to say?
So for us, I think the culture is really strongly imprinted at Vitae. And a couple of ways we've been able to keep that going. We've had opportunities to grow. We've had opportunities to, when we've had a big success and lots of cash come into the company, we've had the choice to get much bigger. And we've chosen not to. I think it's really important to know what we are, what we do extremely well. As Tolga was saying when we kicked off this panel, the world's getting more and more complex. The need for speed is becoming much more urgent. And so knowing what we do better than potentially anybody else in the world and sticking to that really does help to define the culture, the spirit of the company, and that's what we intend to keep doing. The challenge then becomes when we partner, we've got fast, nimble, and small blended with very big, very powerful and complex, and creating those linkages with good communication. You know, that's a whole other level of challenge, but one that's really worth it.
A fascinating discussion, but you know, at the end of the day, it seems that it's a little bit of a yin and yang, right?
Yeah,
so different is not better or worse, it's sometimes perfectly complementary. And it sounds to me like the partnerships have continued to make sense and will continue to make sense going forward. I want to thank our guests for joining us. I'm Patty Owens. Have a great day.